Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. In this episode today, we want to talk to you about how to stay on track when the road's getting really bumpy in your business. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. Before we jump into our topic this morning, Nick, how are you today?
Very, very good. Sun's out. It's shining. It's a Monday, Money Monday. We're ready to rumble today.
Yes, spring is definitely upon us. It's warming up.
That's a good thing, right?
Getting sunny, yeah.
It's like 12 weeks till Christmas or something. It's like
Don't say that. I didn't even think about that sort of stuff. But that's
I know it's like crazy how close it is.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm just happy that the sun's here. We're warming up. I was at the beach on the weekend.
Me too.
Fantastic.
You know, when it's 22 or over, I'm like, it's coming good.
That's right. Yeah. You lose that coolness and the warmth really starts seeping and you're like, that's
and
the go.
For me, sun is tick.
No, very
Hot
much
is
so.
tick. Yeah.
Hot is tick. Yeah.
That's it.
Today we're talking about how to stay on track to reach your goal or reach your objective when things come in your way, whether it's obstacles, road bumps, potholes, whatever you want to call them, whatever analogy you want to pick. Today is all about how to stay focused, stay on track, stay on task to reach the goal that you want to reach. And I'll just provide some context first. When we are all in business, some things can get rocky and it doesn't matter what gets thrown in our way. It can cause us to have setbacks, which affects our emotional state, which affects our attitudes, which sometimes affects our decision-making as well. What I wanted to do today was kind of break down and go, hey, how do you stay on track? What are the secret tips or the tools that you use, Nick, or that we use to stay on track towards reaching the goal or the objective that you might have set at the beginning of the year or every quarter or whenever you set them? So let's, roll into this initially. Nick, what are your thoughts around, staying on track? Is there a secret set of guidelines that you work towards? Is there something that we need to know before we enter into this conversation? What do you say?
Look, I think everybody's an expert where it comes to goal setting, right? And I've seen anything from Robbins through to whoever, right? There's just like goal setting.
Yeah.
And, I think what they fail to talk a lot about, I think, is the reason why you do the goal and what's the cause and effect part of it. If I create this goal and I go forward with the goal, what's the effect of doing, what's the outcome effectively, right? So, and a lot of people kind of set goals that are, I think, almost technically should be tasks, right? Because it's a little goal, I want to, not, my brother-in-law does it all the time. I'm not drinking Coke or eating sugary stuff for Lent. He's a Christian and
right.
That's his thing. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if that's a goal or what. Now, there's a bigger purpose, and that's kind of cool, right? He's in his faith, he's like giving up that, but still smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. That's all cool. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it's a weird thing, and he does it all the time because I ask him, dude, no chocolates and sugar and all that stuff. And he goes, yeah. So, cleans his body out, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's almost, that feels like a task. So kind of the first thing I think you need to really look at is, first of all, I think you need to identify that there's always going to be a task there's always going to be a hurdle with any goal that you set, because very rarely is it, smooth sailing. And let me give you an example. I was watching a Netflix documentary yesterday on the number one rated restaurant globally in New York, right? And, they were talking with the owners. There's two owners. One looks after the the kitchen side of it, and the other looks after the, front of house side of it. And basically it got voted number one restaurant. And as soon as they got voted, they actually closed the restaurant down to redo it up again, right? Spent, I don't know how many millions on it, right? And this was in 2018. And unfortunately, then they've had COVID and all this other stuff with it. But, and he finished it with something interesting. He said, what do we do now? He goes, we've got to keep on at that number one level, right? And 150 employees, it's at that level restaurant. Very beautiful. And, he was talking about saying, what happens now? and he said, we're going to sort of hopefully keep moving forward after they opened, the restaurant. And he said, I'm hoping that there isn't going to be too many hurdles. You know what I mean? Like when you look at it, it's not. I mean, even at that level, and they've got like teams around them that are able to, you know what I mean? Like help them out with stuff and do all of that type of stuff. But when you really think about it, it's you know it's there's always going to be a hurdle there, and they know it. Like even then, the whole documentaries around getting to the open day, 7 days out, 6 days out, and man, it's just chaos, right? So I think if you can start by going, okay, I definitely know that there's going to be hurdles, that means that you're kind of prepared for them, right? It's like
Right.
when
So
you
it's
first
about
start talking.
expectations. Is that
Well,
what you're saying?
yeah, well, exactly. Because a lot of people go, I tried the goal and it didn't work out. On the first hurdle, they throw their hands up.
Right. That's what we're
Like,
breaking down today, because there's a lot of people get deterred very easily when there's an
well, yeah,
obstacle or
well,
getting
it's
into the track.
completely that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done like a Tough Mudder or, something like that, or, those sort of challenges, it's 25 kilometers of stuff or whatever. And the Tough Mudder was like 5.5 hours or something. People do it in like 3, but I'm like 5.5 or whatever. But let me tell you, 3/4 of the way, halfway, your mouth's dry, you're hot, there's no toilets, it's thing, it's like you got to keep pushing, you're muddy, it's in the middle of nowhere, and you feel like death, but you got to keep on powering through, like that's the whole goal. Now, but
Yeah.
guess what? That's a goal that you want to achieve, but you already prepped that there's going to be, 50 obstacles in the
Yeah.
road, probably another 400 in your head,
Yeah. That's
that you're
true.
trying to get through, right? Because
Yeah.
so I suppose what I'm trying to get to is I think you've got to consider what are the obstacles, physical obstacles for getting the goals, and then what are the mental obstacles that you need to be prepared for. Because
Right.
for Tough Mudder and that, you got to get prepared. Spartan race, any of those,
Yeah.
I've done Tough Mudder twice and another race, and it's like that,
Mm.
So I think that's really, really important.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
the other area I think that is very rarely spoken about is, is the end goal bigger than you? And what I mean by bigger than you, not that there's anything kind of bigger than a human, but it's bigger than you is, is there enough juice in there to go, hey man, when I get this done, it's gonna be like awesome, like for me, when I had my face thing just recently, that was a goal bigger than me. I'm like, oh man, I've got to even though it was for me, and like so the end goal of that to do whatever it takes to get my face back and all of that type of stuff was kind of something that felt bigger than me. It wasn't something that I can just go buy off the shelf. It wasn't
Right.
something that I could pay my way through it.
Sure.
Some goals are like that. I want to, buy a Lamborghini. That's cool, but it's not, it's kind of big, but it's not that massive. You're, $1,500 a week short of a Lambo for anyone on the planet, probably even less. When
Right.
you really think about it, if you had
Sure.
to consider it that way. So I suppose making that goal reasonably big or positioning it in a way that this is really going to be a good achievement for that goal. Like these guys, they're number one. They want to stay there. The restaurant's 11 Madison,
Mm.
Madison Park, and they wanted to stay there to be kind of up there. You know what I mean? So, and like in 218, they were number one. I'm looking up stuff now. They're number 3 or 4. Aquavit's
Mm.
in front of them. So it's a battle to keep on doing it. And I suppose to add to that, once you've achieved the goal, what then?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's cool, but most people don't think what then.
Mm.
You know.
I think getting to that first initial goal, and I'm with you. It's got to be bigger than you, but it's got to have a sense of purpose, and there's why behind that as well. I think people are more connected to their goals when there's some really deep seated purpose to it. Part of it too is having a clear visualization of what that outcome looks like. And, like you said, there's lots of goal setting experts, and they talk about visualizing that in your mind and putting yourself into that driver's seat or into that holiday or into that home or into that business outcome, and really visualizing yourself in that space. And I think that becomes part of the draw card and the reason why you want to get up and apply your energy over and over and over again when you do experience these setbacks. So yeah, obviously goals paramount. Bigger than you, I think, is a great takeaway there, and making sure that it aligns with, I guess, you, but also some level of purpose for you as well, so that it keeps burning the fire day after day when things do get tough. So Nick, based on, that understanding, if we're really clear about the goal, and I liked what you said about kind of mental and physical states of that goal as well. Let's put ourselves into a business owner's, shoes. Let's say I'm a tradesman, I'm a sparky, I'm a plumber, I'm a builder or something like that. And I'm grinding away day after day, and I'm always experiencing some level of setback. And it may not be something that I'm consciously, sitting down and stewing about, but it could be these lots of little things, like my subbies don't show up one day, and then the next day the concreter doesn't show up, and then the day after that the retaining wall we built falls over, and then the day after that we've had some chippies on site and they've stuffed up the door frame, so I've got to come back and do that again at my cost. Like all of these little, I guess, hurdles that I keep coming up against. Now, when you have enough of these hurdles, it can cause some serious mental stress for people, and I think this is, something that a lot of business owners are challenged with, where they come across hurdles day to day, but they just live with it and take it on board and go, that's okay, we'll get through it. That's okay, we'll get through it. And it kind of piles up. And then all of a sudden, it just completely and utterly breaks the business owner, because they haven't dealt with 100 or 200 little problems. They've probably dealt with 2,000 of them, and they've stockpiled them in a backpack. And now that backpack's really weighing them down.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening or watching this, I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying in some way or another. Maybe not 2,000 problems, maybe it was just 200. But what's your advice for a business owner in that position, who's really pushing forward? They've got a goal, but there's just so many little things that build over time, and it's starting to really crush your mental health.
Yeah, great question, Chris. I think here's how I would probably break this down. I think the easiest way is, if I can get you, the listener or the viewer, to kind of imagine this, is just imagine you've got a jar, and in that jar, you've got kind of, rocks, and you've got some pebbles, and then you've got some sand. I think the goal is, if you really look at the hurdles or all the things that are happening to you to try to get to that end goal, let's call it, I don't know, for us to be able to, I don't know, achieve $1 million in sales, or whatever, grow a company that's not so reliant on you, or the ability to take holidays and the business keeps running, all of these things that most business owners want. I think one of the key sort of areas there would be, how do you first of all break down the pebbles? Because all of the sand stuff, break down the rocks. All of the sand stuff you can fill in. So I go, well, if it's the main rocks, what are the 3 or 4 key hurdles that have really kind of either impacted you, they've popped up and you're not, you got to deal with, and you've got to kind of say, is it a rock? Is it a pebble? Is it sand? Straight away, because a lot of the stuff, to be honest, can be delegated or outsourced. I don't know, somebody's waiting on a set of plans, or, you've got a tradesman that isn't clear about what they want to do and they're waiting on site. Now, do you as the owner need to deal with that? The answer is probably no. If you've got somebody under you, you can go, hey, mate, call them, tell them this, tell them to do that, boom, that stuff's done. And you don't want to take that on board, like you said, and put it in the backpack, because all of these things don't need to weigh you down, right? Because, think about it. Somebody cuts you off at the traffic, that's one thing. Somebody walks up to you and punches you in the mouth, that's probably another thing. Do you see what I mean? Like, there's still chaotic circumstances, but the one with the traffic, you can go and live with, or, or somebody eggs you on online, or, the keyboard warrior thing. What are you going to do? Give all your energy away to that? It's not worth it, So I think it's important to kind of systemize the way that you look at it. With us, we always talk about milestones. How you get in there doesn't, I don't care what, let's say Aaron that does our marketing, does where it comes to the ad type and the ad thing and who he shows it to. All I'm worried about is the leads. If leads are coming in under a particular dollar value and they're good quality leads, that's about it. I don't need to kind of know too much more than that. So that's kind of where, that's how I think about it, or that's that's where it's at for, dealing with that level of stress. Most people create stress because of their view that they, look at it on, as in, like what their, lens filters are of the world. And some people deal with stress really easily. If you're a Marine, you deal with stress in really nasty environments. But drop me in there and I'm like, what the hell? I'm not going to, right? But then tell a Marine to hop up in front of 5,000 people and they're like, what the hell? It's crazy, right? So, I suppose once again, systemize your approach to the goal setting process itself.
Right. Okay. So you're saying if someone comes across some sort of obstacle or challenge, like, let's use that example where they've got some carpenters or some subcontractors working and they're supposed to be doing fit outs on whatever it might be in the house, and they messed it up, or the doorways are, not square or whatever, or they've made some sort of mistake, and that's ultimately falling back on the builder's shoulders. In that moment, what are your suggestions around? Is it something that we go, that's okay, we shift that across to the site supervisor? Or is it something that we go, hey, that's going to cost us money this time, but we need to park that and move on? Like, I'm just trying to dig down into that rationale of how to react and move on.
It's a good point. Now, let's just think about it for a second. If you look at that on a scale of I build the house, let's call it build the house versus the doors out. The doors is one small part of the entire program. Now, if this stuff kept on going over and over and over again, and there's mistake on mistake on mistake, straight away that needs an attention, because all you're doing is, it's like trying to row against the tide. Sooner or later you're going to get tired. Is it the tide's fault? No, the tide's just doing what it does. Is it your strategy? And the answer is yes. Don't try to row against the tide unless you've got an engine. Because sooner or later, you're taking the wrong tools to try to do it, especially if the tide's really strong, or go with it and figure out another way. It's like sailing, right? It's kind of crazy. You're tacking both sides. You go with the wind, tack, change it, wind, tack. You very rarely go straight. Like that's how they're trying to do it, right? It's the same way here. So I think people that look to achieve these goals, you've also got to understand what the obstacles are, right? And that's why we sort of started with that. Be prepared for the obstacles. If you know what's coming, you got to be prepared for that. And if your crew, as an example, your tradies, subbies, all of that type of stuff aren't really happening for you, I think you've also got to look at and go, well, am I being unrealistic by trying to set the goal of we want to achieve, 1%, defect rate within the house over a particular process, if I've got a team that they're not even aware of all the defects that they're doing, and I suppose something that's relevant today, with COVID trying to get to zero, it's so unrealistic and so non-achievable that this is why governments are struggling, and now they're changing their tune and go, we've got to live with it, because the whole, we're just going to go to zero, New Zealand's done it, WA's trying to do it. It's unrealistic, so once again, to me, that is, something within the goal itself to go, well, it doesn't matter how my intention is to get the goal done right, i.e. finish the house without the drama. If the people are the wrong ones, it's like going into a gunfight with a knife.
Yeah. I think it comes back to your sand, pebbles, big rock scenario. I'm going to pull it back to that point. If you shift the big rocks in your business, usually it eliminates a lot of that sand-based and maybe in some cases the pebble-based activities that are a result of not moving that big rock in the first place. So I'll give you an example with the same scenario that we've been speaking about. Let's say the chippies aren't working, the process isn't right in regards to, fitting out the home or doing the carpentry work. If we had spent more time in our building platform, whether it's BuildExact, Buildertrend, Tradeify, whatever system that you use, if you had mapped out the project plan really clearly and worked really hard on the process in order for the checklists and things for those subcontractors or those carpenters to actually do the work for you, then that in effect would actually eliminate some of those errors that are being caused. And like I said, you've moved the big rock and it's got rid of the small issues on the way through. So I think the small problems can sometimes open up, larger areas of opportunity that you can actually fix to help make your business more effective or more efficient, or help it move forward a lot quicker. So I guess that's the lesson there.
Yeah, correct. And by the way, I'm just thinking about something there. Like sometimes, you've got to recalibrate the goal to go, all right, you know what, the end goal, or the big goal that's bigger than you is, hey, let's get our business so we've got really good quality, buildings done, or whatever it is, plumbing, whatever it is, with hardly any defect, on time, on budget. That's kind of a goal, right? But sometimes like this, if you see it happening, maybe you just chunk down the goal and go, how about it for the next 3 or 4 weeks, we work on getting rid of these defects. Why are they doing it? Is it a communication issue? Is it, on a situational leadership, are they D1 through to D4? Are they not capable of getting this job done? Have I got the right people for it? Am I not being clear? Are the plans out? Are they not capable of getting so? And to me, it's always, like we've discussed before, it's always a people or a process problem. So if you chunk it down into that and make that the goal to go, all right, well, I need to train them up a little bit. And let me give you an example. So one of my builders, they've got an apprentice that's becoming a tradesperson this year. He'll have his ticket, and he's been working with a guy, for 4 years. And the guy's only 19, but super switched on, gets it. He can run a site, and he's trained the owner's trained him very well. Yeah. Now we did a situational leadership, and there was 2 or 3 areas. One, read electrical plans. He needed to know more about how to do that. Number 2, how does he organise a big team of people? This guy's only 19, so he's going to be excellent, right? He's on his way. And run a site, he's pretty cool. Read plans and get the job done is cool. Carpentry is cool. All of that stuff is good because he's had good training. Now, I'm saying that, but now what are we going to work on? We're going to work on those 2 key areas that need to be done. So it'll won't be a hurdle that he needs to get over once we set the goal, and him kind of running without the owner there, running the site himself. So you see, when we chunk it down, we can make that the goal and just get with that. Because what is it? I mean, the goal is a series of activities leading to a particular outcome. Series of mindset, thought patterns that lead to a particular outcome, right? That's all it is. I mean, you don't think a goal and it happens. I'd like that to be, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you got to have the action behind it.
You got to have the action. Well, you know what I mean? And so when you think about it from that point of view, what are the little activities and how much work do you need to do within those little activities?
Right. Okay. So it's kind of focusing on the steps to, or the tasks of, versus worrying about what the actual setback might be. Does that make sense?
Correct. And just chunk it down, because, by the way, think about it. Every little part works towards the bigger part or the end goal, when you think about it. And here's an example, if you want to lose weight, as an example, there's a whole process, right? Food, exercise, mindset. But you got to go out and do the exercise. You can't just think it. Yep. You got to not put that, Kentucky Fried chicken wing in your mouth.
Don't put that anywhere near the mouth. That's it.
You see what I mean? Like, there's a series of small events. What the small event, driving past a Kentucky and go, oh yeah, cool, and go, don't pull in. That's a small event. Like, do you see, like, every little bit, especially in business, is going to count towards a larger thing. Stop going, I want that goal done, and try, like I said, go in there with the wrong tools. It doesn't work, because you'd never do that on site. You'd never go, I need a hammer, and instead using a drill. It's the wrong tool, and you won't get the right outcome.
Yeah. Good. I think another aspect when people are experiencing setbacks or little problems within getting to the goal is to understand the concept or the principle that what is what is, and reality is reality. If something breaks or something fails or someone lets you down, unfortunately, that's just the way that it happened on that day. So we can either dwell on that and get angry and build this level of frustration and tension within ourselves to react against that, or we can go, oh, well, that's happened. Now what do I do to fix it? So I think it's that proactive level of nature to go, okay, well, it is what it is today. And going back to what you said before, is this a people or a process problem? And do I need to recorrect something or move a big rock in order to get rid of that in the future? Deciding on which one it is, and then going, right, well, what's my plan to move forward? Because this is the only way out. You can either do 2 things. 1, do nothing and have the continual same result, or go nowhere. Or 2, you can go, right, what am I proactively going to do about this? And then take action, like you said.
And I think there's one more part to add to that. And, we've read it in the Chet Holmes book, but I think it needs to be unwavering discipline. You know, like it's if it was easy to achieve a goal, everybody would do it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen those things. You know, it's like a 75-day workout. You know, and there's
Yeah, I've
4
seen those.
things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you need to do. Well, read, work out twice a day, read, drink water, something like that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, that the reason why they've got 75 days is it's like day one, you got to do it. Day two, you got to tick it. I mean, but it's got to be unwavering. You know, it's raining, it's cold, feel like you're injured, whatever it is. It's easy to get out of it. You know, it'd be interesting to see how many people actually achieve that. And yourself, where it comes to business, I wish it was do something for a month and it's cool. Look at with us, it's a minimum of 12 months, minimum. I wish it was quicker, but it's not. You know, for some businesses, they get it, but year 2 is totally different. Year 3 is different again, and year 3 you're already an athlete.
That's
your
right.
mind fit, heart fit, emotion fit. Tactically fit. Isn't this what we do? We get people fit again where they weren't. Like you're saying, something that the door isn't fitting properly or whatever, and you freak out at the tradesman, or he walks out and it takes you 3 weeks to get over it. Like, it's like, man, just do with it. Let's move and let's get going. Like when you look at even like, military kind of areas and stuff like that, or battle tactics, you need to adjust really, really quickly, or else it's going to be a bad day. You can't afford to think too much. You just got to act and move.
No, and ultimately, in the military, they have a plan and they work towards the plan. And if shit happens, because shit would happen, they work around that and base things on what is happening right now, and take the next step to either get out or move forward or whatever they need to do. Very good. There's a whole lot of takeaways in there, guys. I hope you've been taking some mental notes on these, or maybe jotting some of these down. Sometimes it's just a small thing for you to go, yeah, right. I've experienced that. I have been carrying around a lot of issues in my backpack. I need to put that down and really just create a plan to progressively move forward, identify whether it's a people or a process problem. I need to take action to remove myself from some of these problems, and I need to get on with it. And kind of keep pushing forwards, because like you said, it's not a short sprint. This is a marathon. Have you got any final advice, Nick, about how to overcome these constant setbacks that everybody experiences in business? What are your parting words before we finish up?
I think you've got to. I'm going to use Dr. Wayne Dyer's famous words: change the way that you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Perfect.
The hurdles are all a part of the fun.
Yeah. Fun and learning, I think. If you're
I
not
think
learning
so,
on the way
because
through.
if things were always too easy, you'd get bored.
Very much so.
They wouldn't call it busyness or business. They'd call it, hey, I've got one of those easies.
Yeah. It'd be like 10-pin bowling, knowing that you're going to knock over 10 pins every go.
Well, you know what I mean? Exactly. It's
really
just like
after a while.
the fun part of it's going in the gutter or not getting it, or it just makes it funny. It's a part of what's going on. Or the ball goes across someone's lane, and you get competitive, or your finger feels like it gets jammed in the ball. Like, that's all. Because if you just did it every time, it's just like, what's it going to get? What are you learning from it? What are you trying to get towards?
Absolutely. I think I'll throw in a quote there as well from Jen Sincero. She's written a bunch of books. Growth occurs through friction and challenge.
I love it.
There you go. Growth occurs through friction and challenge. It's always going to be painful at some level, but there's always going to be challenges, associated with it. Once you've pushed through, you've grown. So
very much so.
Yeah, cool. That's it for today, guys. If you've got any questions around this, shoot it through to askitupcoach.com.au. If you're struggling, if you need a mindset readjustment, feel free to reach out to us. We can definitely organize a free strategy session if you'd like. Otherwise, we'll be back on the same episode again next week. Thank you so much for your time, Nick.
No problem. Thank you.
And we'll see you all again very soon. Bye now.
Bye now.